Q&A. Go ahead and get your questions in real quick. I'm going to get started, and as soon as I load up, we will get started. Oh dear, maybe. Hold on. All right, here we go. All right, so welcome everybody. Glad you're here. This is our Tuesday night rapid fire Q&A. So I go live on Sundays as well as on Tuesdays. Sundays, I read all the comments. We do a lot of fun things. It's more of a community feel. So hopefully you can join us there as well. But on Tuesdays, it is rapid fire, which means I only read the questions, and we go as quickly as possible once I actually get started. So go ahead and ask your questions about quail now, whether they're raising quail, quail for profit, breeding quail, hatching quail, brooding quail, I don't know, whatever questions you got about quail, go ahead and ask, and we'll be happy to help on your journey. If you do have questions, if you could put a bunch of question marks at the beginning or end, or exclamation points at the beginning or end, that would be very helpful, so that I can see them a little bit better. So usually it takes us just a couple of minutes to get started, so I will give you a couple of updates just very quickly. And then I'll go through the first couple of comments. But I did have 2 videos done for you this week. One is why is my fertility low and what to look for. The other one is what to start with, colors versus jumbo size, what's the difference and why. There was an issue, so I've already redone one of them, but I have to redo the other. But those 2 videos will be posted this week. So if you've not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so, as you will not want to miss those, especially if you're a newbie. The what to start with is really going to help a lot of new people out, and then why is my fertility low and what to look for is really going to help out the ones that have been doing it for a little while, and maybe this is your first winter, whatever the case may be. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask, and we will get started. Usually rapid fire Tuesdays go pretty short. And then Sundays typically go about an hour and a half, but we do have a lot of fun and do a lot of cool stuff on there. All right, let's see. Gurisol Farm. I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. But welcome. I'm glad you're here, and feel free to correct my pronunciation. Vermont Quail's in the house. Welcome. David Lister's in the house. Welcome. Texas Top Shelf Reptiles in the house. Welcome. Glad you're here. And yeah, if you could hit the like button like Vermont Quail says, hit the like please. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel grow and makes me feel good. Ed Got Bait is in the house. He is my moderator for tonight for our YouTube Rapid Fire Q&A. Verna Young is a moderator as well, but she will not be on tonight as she is currently in my kitchen hanging out with my kids and my wife. So I had to stop the fun a little early so I could jump on here, but we're having a Thanksgiving dinner a little late with her. Let's see. David Lister says, seems I remember you addressed prolapse in the past. Is there a video? I know I've talked about it in videos. I don't think I actually have a prolapsed video. I think it was on my to-do list for a while and I never got to it, I don't think I ever did that video. But I have talked about it quite a bit. And prolapse could be a couple different things. It could be a deficiency in the quail. It could be the wrong feed. That's usually the number one answer, is there's something wrong with the feed. But the way you can tell is if it's multiple that are having prolapse issues, it's a feed issue. If it's 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30, 1 out of 50, it's that specific quail that's just deficient in something. Usually you want to increase the calcium and fiber, and that will help fix that issue. Christine's in the house. Welcome. Rad305 says, how do you add new quail to a colony without them fighting? It's a good question. I actually do have a video on that. So if you type into the YouTube search bar, Introducing New Quail by Myshire Farm, that video will show up. It will go more in depth and show you more. But long story short, you want to disorient them. So you're going to get like a post office box or a cardboard box of some sort. Put them in there. You can jam pack them in. Close the box. Let there be no light. Add the new ones in there with the existing ones. Leave them in there for about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes is all it'll take. And then you open the box, put them all back in the cage. It disorients them. And then they tend to forget that they weren't there before. So that's, in a nutshell, that's really what it is. But again, that video will give you a lot more information on it. Diana says, and welcome, glad you're here. And glad you're here, Rad305. Diana Tuttle says, can quail lay more than 1 egg a day? Just curious. They can. There's a few that will lay about 2 eggs a day. I would consider it to be more rare. It's out of the over 5,000 breeders I have right now, we probably have 3 of them that do that. Usually they have much shorter lifespans. There is a way that you can control that and only get them to lay one at a time, but because we do colony cages and we don't do small cages, it would be very, very difficult to do so we just let it go. And it's a lot of work. So yeah, it's very, very, very uncommon, but it can happen. Stanley Greggs is in the house from Houston. Welcome. Katrina is in the house from Gilroy, California. I will let Verna know you said hello. Arturus Briska, hope I said that correctly. If I didn't, feel free to correct me. Says, hi all from the UK again. Diana Tuttle, some of my quail lay more than 2 eggs, and I started building big quail place on my land to expand. That's awesome. Congratulations. Dreams Acres is in the house. Hello, quail peeps. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Christine Spot says, question, soft shell equals, or soft quail. Question, what should I add for this? It's a good question. Soft shell is almost always a calcium issue. Again, if it's multiple eggs that are like that, the feed does not have enough calcium for the quail. Number one, if you are grinding feed, stop grinding feed. That should fix the issue altogether. If you're not grinding feed, make sure you're using a crumble. That's a best practice. But you can add oyster shells. You can get that at Tractor Supply, Chewy. You can get it at Rural King. I think you might even be able to get it at pet stores and things like that. But oyster shells will work. You can add that to the feed a little bit each day, and that will give them an increased amount of calcium. And that soft shell should go away. Nikki James is in the house. Have you ever had a male prolapse? No. I asked because one of my males this morning had its back end all tore up from other birds. Never seen that before. I have not. No, I really was trying to think for a second. No, I have never seen that. That is rare. That's odd. He must have really made some hens mad. Let's see. Dreammaker says, I have 1 or 2 that keep laying huge eggs, almost the size of my bantam chicken eggs. They're usually double yolkers. Will these hens keep laying eggs like this all the time? Would chicks hatch? It would be very, very unlikely that the chicks will hatch. Trying to get a double yoker to hatch is very, very difficult. And yes, usually, so this is a good question, especially for people that didn't even ask, like are starting out or whatever. This is a great question. So usually they'll start laying eggs around 6 weeks old, very sporadically. And then about a week and a half later, they'll start being consistent. About a week after that, so when they're about 8.5 weeks old, they'll start laying whatever egg that they're going to lay every day for their entire lifespan. So you might see different colors or different shapes, or you might see speckles or no speckles, or you might see one size and then, you might see a double yoker and then you might see a little, fairy egg or whatever the case may be. That's normal between 6 to 8 weeks old. After that, they typically lay the same egg every day. So typically after they're about 8.5 weeks old, if they continue to lay double yolkers or very large eggs, That's usually what they're going to lay for their entire lifespan. That's a very good question. Jose Soto is in the house. Hi, Zach. Welcome. Glad you're here. What is the average lifespan you were seeing for your birds? It's a good question. We keep some just to do that information. So we switch out our males twice a year, every 6 months. We switch out our hens once a year, but I do keep the older breeders go into the mixed cages. And then we can keep track of, how long they lay and things like that. So on average, and every single one of them is a little bit different. On average, it's about 2 years. They can definitely go longer. We have more of a production standpoint, so it's about 2 years. But everything's completely different. I think it's don't quote me on this. I think it's the Scarlets that's 2 years and 3 months. Could be the Rosettas. I think they're 2 years and 3 months on average, whereas like the Jumbo Wilds would be somewhere around 1 year 9 months, 1 year 10 months for full productivity. Then they start slowing down after that. So on average, about 2 years. But it really depends on your environment as well. If you're giving them supplemental light and they're laying year long, then that would be accurate. If you're letting them take the breaks during the winter and things like that, typically you'll get about 3 years worth. Same amount of eggs, just in a longer period of time. Very good question. Amy B is in the house. My eggs will be here tomorrow. So excited. Wonderful to hear. Best of luck. And obviously keep me posted on that. Dreams Acre says thank you. They have been laying for about 4 weeks now, 2 weeks steady. Yep. So yeah, that's what they're going to lay. Sometimes, and this is very, very rare, but every once in a while after their molt, which usually they molt about twice a year, after their molt, they might change and do a smaller egg. But I wouldn't count on it. But it could happen. Unlikely. Very good question. AJ's in the house. Welcome. Vermont Quail says, don't forget to hit the like, please. Absolutely. Support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Amy B says, I was at QuailCon and saw the barn. Do you have a separate area for your special projects and experiments? We do. We have used a couple of Wynola Ranch cages that we moved for QuailCon. We're going to continue to use those, but we're actually building another cage so that we don't have to house the grow outs for the special project in the other cages, because that usually tends to be a problem. So if you remember what the barn looks like, there's 5 very large cages on each side of the barn, and then there's one right in the middle, all the way at the back. Right next to that, there's space, and so usually our Wynola cages go right there, which that's where they're back at now. And then above that, we're actually going to do a hanging cage that's attached to the wall for the grow outs. So we'll collect the eggs from the Wynola Ranch cages, hatch them out, have them in the brooder, and then they'll go above their parents while we grow those out, because that's just going to help our productivity on our side. But yeah, we do. They will be in the same barn, but we do move them for QuailCon. Schaefer Family Farm is in the house. Very good question. Welcome. Glad you're here from Michigan. Carolina Kind Family Homestead is in the house from North Carolina. Welcome. We're glad you're here. That is actually all of the S.O. Swanson's in the house. Welcome. That is actually all the questions. I will give everybody just a minute. I saw a bunch of people just join. So if you have any questions about raising quail, hatching quail, quail for profit, breeding quail, brooding quail, pretty much anything to do with quail, maybe a little bit about cooney pigs, I will be happy to try to answer those questions for you. Feed. And we will try to go as quickly as possible and keep up. It is nice actually being able to keep up. And if you are just joined, remember that we've got 2 videos coming out this week. My goal is, my plan is to do a live on Sundays, a live on Tuesdays, post a video to help everybody on their adventure with Coturnix quail Thursdays and Saturdays. So that's 4 days a week on YouTube. And then we've got some extra stuff coming your way soon. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you watch the videos this week and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss them. Schaefer Family Farm says, are you working on any new jumbo strains? We are not right now. We're actually increasing and improving the lines that we already have. And then we're working on a sex-linked quail, a jumbo. Well, no, that is not accurate at all. It will not be jumbo size. It's a rare sex-link, which is really cool, and 2 completely different colors, which is even cooler. So that is currently what we're working on now. But right now we're just trying to improve what we already have. And then next year, I have promised Jenna and George that we will go full force on Celadons again, even though I'm completely against it. But I was outvoted, and I was told that it is not a dictatorship, but a democracy. And so I threw my little temper tantrum, and then I got on board. So that's how that worked. I'm just joking. They had to convince me a little bit to do it, but I get what they're saying. So we'll start that once, probably starting in March-ish. We'll probably start that project up again. Not looking forward to it. But Rob is in the house, which is the best entry-level incubator? That's a great question. What I'm going to tell you is I've done a couple incubator reviews on our YouTube channel. The playlist that it's under is Quail Product Reviews. I've done one on the Nurturite 360. I liked that one. Had good results. We did one on the Little Giant. Had good results with that. I was very impressed with it. We did one on the Hovabator. And we did one for still air, and I did not like still air. So whatever you get, make sure that you get forced air. You know, it has a fan in there. But what I would do is actually look at those 3 videos. They're about 10-12 minutes long, but they're going to give you a lot of information, and you can kind of determine, do you want plastic? Do you want styrofoam? Do you want, something that is more controlled, or do you want something bigger where you can put a lot more eggs in? Do you want this? Do you want that? And kind of find out what works best for you, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of my customers are all over the board. Some people hate the Nurturite 360, and some people love the Nurturite 360. And some people can't stand the Little Giant, and some people have been using the Little Giant for 10 plus years and they swear by it. So I would just get a feel with what you think works best. My preference is plastic. I like the plastic ones. I think they're easier to clean, easier to control. But George, which is my right-hand man in the barn, he does not like the plastic ones. He likes the styrofoam. He feels like those are better to control and better to manipulate, if you will. I think they're much harder to clean. He agrees with that, but there's also ways around that as well. It's a good question. Katrina says, tell us how the baby piggies are doing. They're doing great. Yeah, they're doing great. Mom's doing their job, and we actually haven't had to do much at all except for feed and water mama every day. So that is wonderful. Bob Groves is in the house. Question, at what age would the quail eggs stop getting larger? At what age will the quail eggs? I guess I'll give you the same answer that I gave someone a little bit earlier in the chat. Long story short, they'll start laying about 6 weeks old. Very inconsistent, very sporadic, very different eggs. You might get one with spots and one solid, and then you might get one that's, soft shell, and you might get one that's, a double yolker, and you might get a fairy egg. Like, it's just all over. They're just figuring it out, right? Once they're about 2 weeks into laying, they're going to get much more consistent with laying. And with that, whatever egg they start laying at about 8.5 weeks old is what they're consistently going to lay every day. Now, that doesn't mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. You know what I mean? So, like, they might lay 15 of the same egg in a row, and then that 16th day they might lay a weird one, and it's like, what's going on here? And then they'll go back to 30 days in a row with the same egg. But for the most part, they usually start laying the same egg every day once they're about 8.5 weeks old. It's a good question. Vermont Quail says 1/2 inch by 1 inch cage for the floor, right? Yep, absolutely. We switched to all of our breeder cages to 1/2 inch by 1 inch this year, and it's glorious. It's so much better. We've been doing 1/2 by 1/2 for 11 plus years, and we decided to do our 1/2 by 1 this time when we needed to redo the bottoms of our cages. And wow, I will never go back to 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. The only thing that's going to be 1/2 by 1/2 is going to be the brooder bottoms in our cages. The 1/2 by 1's a little bit too big for the quail chicks, but yeah, other than that, yeah, 1/2 by 1 is awesome. Linda Easton Waller's in the house. Welcome, glad you're here. Why am I struggling to see a little bit? I'm going to try to say it. I'm probably going to butcher the name, and I apologize. Arthroclassia. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm so sorry. You can feel free to correct me. I don't get offended. Hello from California. Always had chickens growing up, but wasn't to try quail this coming summer. Wanting to try quail this summer. Are they harder than chickens or about the same? It's a good question. In my opinion, they're easier. I would say this consensus would be that they're easier. They're much easier to raise in bulk. You know what I mean? It's very, I mean, it does, again, there's exceptions to the rule, but, you know, hatching out 120 chicken eggs is a lot less uncommon than hatching out 120 quail eggs. Like, that's a normal thing. You know what I mean? So keeping them at large amounts is much, much easier. And you know, 7-8 times out of 10, they're going to be in cages because that's just what works best for quail. And so in that case, you know, they're not free roaming. You don't have to let them in and out, things like that. So they are a lot easier for those reasons. Grits 39 is in the house, and welcome, glad you're here. Grits 39 is in the house, welcome. What is considered too aggressive for roosters? I have 1 rooster to 3 or 4 hens per cage. I would recommend changing that to 1 rooster for every 5 hens. That should actually fix the issue. You know, I don't know the situation, but I would say it's not really aggression, it's overbreeding. Especially the 3-to-1, that's going to be overbreeding and not necessarily aggression. Also, make sure that it's 3 quail per square foot. But if you if you fix those things, and one just seems to still be overbreeding or aggressive, then you need to call it right away. But I would make sure it's 3 quail per square foot, and then change it to 5 hens to every 1 room. Stanley Gregg is in the house. Hey, Zach, are there any concerns when you get a dull, whitish looking egg? No, they just ran out of ink that day. Typically, they do tend to be less fertile. They're fine to eat. You can still hatch them out. It's just a little bit lower of a fertility or hatch rate on those. But yeah, it's no big deal at all. Linda Easton Waller's in the house. Welcome. Stanley, welcome as well. In your opinion, how many quail eggs equals 1 chicken egg in general? Getting conflicting info online. It's a good question. I always say 3-to-1. It really does vary. You know, I mean, it really does vary if you're going with jumbo size or standard size. But long story short, 3-to-1. If you look at this consumption status or consumption stats, quail eggs actually do fill you up a little bit more than chicken eggs do. So, you know, if you eat 2 eggs in the morning, right, 6 eggs are going to fill you up just as much or maybe a little bit more. So, you know, I always say 3-to-1. But there's not really a standard for that. It could be 4. Again, it really depends on the size of your eggs. But like somebody said earlier in the conversation tonight, that they have a couple of their quail that are laying just as large eggs as their bantam chickens. So again, it really depends, but 3-to-1 is the safe thing to say. It's a good question. Simple Living is in the house. Why didn't you want to do Celadons? exhausting. I just don't enjoy them. I just don't enjoy them. I don't know. It's what I wanted from them. I think it's not impossible, but it's just not worth all the extra work to do what I wanted. So we're not going to do that. We're actually just going to do pure Celadons, pure blue eggs. So we'll do it that way, and that will get much better results. But I was really wanting to do one specific color. I wanted it to be this size. I wanted it to be this. I was being very, very picky, and I just never did find exactly what I was looking for. And so I gave up those 3 cages so I could add more jumbos because we were always behind on jumbos, and I was happy with that. But they want to build another cage and do Celadon, so that's what we'll do. It's just, I mean, I get people like it, but I don't really care about the blue egg. I personally like the traditional egg colors, but I mean, it teaches it. I get it, and people want them, so we need to be able to supply them. David Lister says, "Did you find forever homes for all the puppies?" We did. Yeah, they've been gone for a while. Jenna actually kept one. We had 14. I think it was 14 puppies. We have a Great Dane that we bred. And she had 14 puppies, so we sold 13. Jenna kept one, and then we bought another one from somewhere else. So now we've got 3 girls and 1 very lucky boy. So I think Jenna's going to keep doing it. Celadons mean they're blue egg layers. So instead of the speckled regular quail eggs, they're all blue with a couple little dots everywhere usually. Some are plain. But they're like a bluish green color, but that's the only difference. Sorry, I lost my spot for a second. Rose Wilson is in the house from Arkansas. Welcome. Alex is in the house. Ordered 50 eggs of range on Saturday. Can't wait. Awesome. They actually are scheduled to go out at the beginning of next week. So good luck on that. They'll be shipped next week for sure. Yud P is in the house. My Nurtry 360 read 102 and the Govee read 99.8. Yeah, I think the last time I used the Govee, we put it at 101.5. So yeah, if you insulate it with a towel or a blanket and wrap that around there, you probably would be able to turn the incubator down to maybe 101 or 100.5. But I mean, that would be better on the heater if you insulate it. But yeah, I would trust the Govee. Incubators lie, in my opinion. Is that normal? Oh, yeah, I just kind of answered that too. Knife is in the house. Hey, everyone. Bit late, but could not miss this one too. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Jason Ford is in the house. Our incubator lied. They do. I'm telling you. Eventually, they all do. Joshua's in the house. Hey, bud, thanks for helping me with the advice last week. Gave them 1 full week going on 8 days since their reset. 13 out of 28 hens are laying. Hoping the rest start laying. Should this take? Absolutely. Yeah, you actually are getting better results than what I thought you would. So it's been 8 days. You started getting 13 of them. Yeah, I would say by another week, you probably will be up to about 25 or 26. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. Congratulations. And glad I could help. Christine's in the house. Heated watering systems for stackable plastic cage. Water system is freezing up. We actually have the bucket system and put a cow heater in there. But you could use a bubbler as well, like from a aquarium tank. The bubbler will keep the water moving and help it not to freeze. So that's 2 options. I prefer the heated water, but a lot of people feel like that's dangerous. So I think I said Joshua. It's actually Johan. I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. Much longer. Also, I have 56 quail eggs in the incubator. Had my first egg hatch around 9 a.m. Just had my 4th hatch right now at 8:30. Is this typical? Yeah, if it's the first day. Typically, you're looking for a really big hatch about midday tomorrow then. If not, then I would increase your humidity about 5 to 7%. But I wouldn't look for really big hatch until, you know, 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow. Linda Easton Waller says, I heard on a video recently that if you increase protein in your layer feed, you get heavier eggs. Is this true? No, that is not accurate at all. Sorry. Also, I can't wait to receive my eggs. I placed the order. It says it should arrive on Monday. Wonderful. Glad you're excited about it, and I wish you all the best. Good luck, and obviously keep me posted. Knife says, trying to get into the reptile market, do they ask for vacuum seal bags for you or just Florida thing? That's a good question. I mean, with our reptile people now, it's bulk orders, so no, I don't vacuum seal anything. I don't think I ever did. I think there was one big account when we first started out getting bigger. I think they wanted vacuum sealed. I think. But no, it's not a common thing, at least in my experience. Shay for Family Farm says, what are you working on to improve your current jumbo lines? Variety specific. Yeah, so we do this every year. This year, it's just more of a standard, more of a, we're being very picky on what goes in and what does not go in. We're looking for specific size. We're looking for, we're looking for a bigger size. We're actually looking for larger hips this year. Usually at about 4 or 5 weeks old, you can see from their hips or feel their hips and kind of tell not exactly what egg size they're going to start laying or will lay, but you can tell quite a bit. So we're looking at that. We're weighing them, and obviously we look at the colors and decide if it's a good color to put in. But yeah, just picky breeding is really what we're working on right now. And if you do that, you do that year after year after year, and you hatch as many as we do, we get pretty good results every year. Christopher K says, do quail need grit and calcium? If so, how often? Nope, not at all. Unless you're, feeding them things that are not just their regular feed. But no, they do not. Alex says, I've had quail for about 10 months and their eggs are still leathery when cracked open. I've given them calcium and tried different foods like less protein and layer feed, still no luck. That's a little odd. Make sure, what I would do is actually go to our YouTube channel and type into the YouTube search bar feed by Myshire Farm. That will show you exactly what we feed. We actually customize our layer feed, but I actually show you the label, show you the ingredients, show you the percentages and all that, and try to maybe match that up, but that really seems to be a feed thing. I know that you've tried to change different things. I would at least recommend between a 15 to 20% protein, 3% calcium. I can't remember the fiber. You'd have to watch the video. Yeah, I'd watch that and see if you can get any ideas of what you could do differently with the feed, but that's really what it sounds like. Linda's in the house. Welcome. Dave says, hi, Zach. Dave here from Black Country, UK. I got the Govee to test my incubator out, and it's saying the temp is 34.4 when it's supposed to be 37.5. Is the Govee recalibrated properly straight away? It usually is. I don't think it would hurt to recalibrate it just to make sure before you start messing with the incubator. The instructions that come with the Govee actually show you exactly how to calibrate. I think somebody did a video on it as well, but I can't remember who that was and what YouTube channel. But I would recalibrate the Govee, put that back in there. But I mean, in my opinion, all incubators lie. That's quite a bit. I would recalibrate the Govee first, and then I would start working on that. If the Govee is calibrated and it's reading the same, I would insulate your incubator with a towel or a blanket first, and let it sit for about 12 hours and see what the difference is then. And then make sure you move that Govee around about twice a day for a few days. You want to do all 4 corners and then put it right in the middle and see if it's the same reading in all 4 or all 5 areas, because that could be it too. It could be a circulation issue. That's what I would do before you start messing with the incubator that much, because that's quite a bit off. Let's see. Vermont Quail says, let's get to 50 likes, please. Absolutely. Hit the like button, support the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Alex says, also, you should post more often on your Instagram. Would like to see your pigs and goats. I really need to do better at that. You are correct. I hardly ever get on Instagram. Of course, I'm hardly ever on anything. I do need to do better at that. I do. I'm sorry. The name is hard to say, but you did fine. Thank you. All right, thank you. You need that as a live stream t-shirt, Zach. Incubators lie. I should. That's right. Let's see. Omangalo, I hope I said that correctly, says, thank you for all the information. Well, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Terry Wright's in the house. Gail's Quails is in the house. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Tiffany T said, just started out with Coturnix hatched 5 October 18th and no crowing. Yeah, it's still a little young. I tried to see if I could feather sex, but don't think can. I put 30 of 3 dozen eggs purchased in the incubator. Other eggs cracked. October 18th. So that's like 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the biggest thing that I would say to you is make sure that you've got about 16 to 18 hour. Ooh, let's start that again. Over again. Oh dear Jesus. It's falling apart, guys. Make sure you're getting 16 to 18 hours of light a day, and that should help that situation along. They're right at that point where they should start, but the light could be the issue there. Grits39 says, what substrate do you use in manure trays? Actually, we don't. We've got a completely different poop system. It's actually on our YouTube channel under Farm Tours playlist. But we actually push it through into a septic system every day. So we don't actually have trays anymore. Christine says, water lines freeze, not tank. I've actually never had that problem as far as the water lines go. Usually the black tubing usually doesn't freeze. And then in the old barn, we actually had PVC, and we actually got a bunch of that, oh dear Jesus, the plastic, it's not plastic, the foam, the foam stuff that you put over PVC for it to, be insulated or whatever. We just put that everywhere, but I've not actually had, the only time I've ever had water freeze is actually in the bucket itself. So I don't have any other ideas. I'm very sorry. Tiffany T says, candled at day 8 and only 14 were developing. I've been feeding the 5, have bird seed mixed with meat bird feed and mealworms, trying to go through all your videos so I can learn what we're doing. Yeah, you can keep playing around with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm actually doing a video that's posted on Thursday. Why my fertility is low and what to look for. I would watch that. But if it was me, my recommendation would be to move them to just a general all-purpose layer feed. And not be mixing feeds together like the bird feed and the meal, or the meat bird feed and meal. I would just give them straight, like all flock, all-purpose layer feed, and you should get better results. But again, it could be a light issue, it could be a square foot issue, it could be a ratio issue, it could be a stress issue, it could be elements issue. We're going to go all in depth about that in the video on Thursday that you might want to check out. But it's really hard to say without knowing more. But I did give you all the information in that video coming up this week, where you can kind of sit down and say, yep, it's not that one. It's okay. It might, but let's look into this one first, and then, and go down the list for you. Christopher K says, oh, you're not talking to me, talking to somebody else. Alex says, was it difficult to make quail a main career? No, it wasn't difficult. I mean, it's slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. God, I wish I knew years better. So we started 12 years ago, and we did this full-time while I also had another full-time job working about 70, 80 hours a week for 6 years. No, more than that. 7 years. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My God, have I been on the farm for 5 years now? Huh. I think I have. So yeah, it took us 7 years working 2 full-time jobs to decide to make this a full-time thing. But yeah, I mean, it's slow and steady, but I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's just slow and steady. Vermont Quail says 61 watching and only 48 likes. Please support Zach. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 2 more to hit the goal tonight. We're at 48. If we can get 2 more likes, that'd be awesome. Daedric Angel says, hey, bud, I am the blue-haired guy who won the Myshire Winolo cage at QuailCon. I remember. It is serving me well, and the Egyptians are doing great. I love to hear that. Haven't tried hatching any sex link yet, but maybe soon. There you go. That's wonderful. I'm glad that the Egyptians are still doing well for you. And again, congratulations on the Winola cage. I'm glad you won. I think we had a lot of fun at QuailCon. And we'll have a lot of fun next year as well. Tiffany's in the house. I show them and my calls. I keep them in a huge kennel panel run with a net and have a hoop. There's a couple different, hold on. I show them and my calls. I keep them in a huge kennel panel run with a net and have a hoop coop. My quails aren't laying, just 5 hatched October 8th. I bought the other eggs in the incubator. When should I put them on layer? October 8th. Hatched October 8th. They need to go on layer feed now, but I would assume they're not getting the supplemental light. So 16 to 18 hours of light a day is pretty essential for them to be productive, males and females. Also because they are kind of in a coop, that's going to not prevent them from being productive, but it's going to take longer for them to get there. So I would assume you've got about 2-3 more weeks before you start having production going on. And then that all depends on your lighting. But yeah, the more the space and the more hoop coop and natural environment kind of thing, it takes them a lot longer to start being productive. But the light will be a big thing. Vicky says, I'm looking for people who can advise on raising mealworms for quail protein supplement. If you know a website or YouTube video about mealworms as chicken quail protein feed, please list it in chat. I do not, but hopefully somebody here will be able to give you some info on that. Johan Rivera says, I ordered eggs from you and I ordered 50 coming to Orlando, Florida. Want to know, do you pack the orders yourself? If so, give or take, how many colors do you think I might get? I do pack everything myself. I'm pretty particular about egg collecting. Yeah, I handle that side by myself. I could probably delegate a little bit more of that, but we've got plenty of other jobs. But no, the collecting the eggs, the packing up the eggs, and the going to the post office is me 5 days a week. Well, I collect daily. I collect 7 days a week, but I go to the post office 5 days. And if you ordered like mix, if you order the variety choice, probably 10 to 12. If you order the feather sexable, probably 5 or 6 at least. It really depends on what you ordered. Robert is in the house. Welcome. Glad you're here. Alex says, is there a demand for eggs in restaurants? Always wanted to slowly get into making it a side business. Yeah, there's a big market for it. In fact, one of my customers actually sells a bunch of eggs, like a lot of eggs, like all their eggs, to Gordon Ramsay, Hell's Kitchen. They actually sell them all there. But yeah, there's plenty of places that would be interested in quail eggs for sure. That's just not my passion. I much more would rather get people involved with self-sufficiency, sell them that way. We do have corporate accounts because I am a business and we got to make sure consistent money's coming in. But that's not really my passion. My passion is try and help people and get a lot of people running, their own quail and things like that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the business side, restaurants and grocery stores is a great place to look into. Top the 50, thanks people. Absolutely, we're at 56. Thank you very much for all your support, everybody. Diedrich Angel says, it was a good time. I swear I crashed for 2 days after the drive home. LOL. One of the Egyptians is a jerk to other birds, but is super sweet with people. LOL. Weird thing. That is odd. And I'm sure that was a long drive, but I'm glad you made it, and I'm glad you won. That's really cool. What mix does it take to make a gold? It's a really good question. Honestly, you should just have golds. Making your golds is a very, very, very difficult process. I mean, like years and years kind of thing. So, there's some colors like, I don't know, fab fees or pearls or rosettas or scarlets or Egyptians. Like all those, you can, put a couple colors together, get them almost instantly. The golds are one of those things that you should really just get. No one's talking to me. I'm trying. Oh, here we go. Ellen says, I know 16 to 18 hours of light. How much light exactly? Between that, 16 to 18 hours doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if it's like, an overhead light in a garage or Christmas lights or LED lights or whatever the case may be. As long as they're getting 16 to 18 hours of light a day, that's kind of the sweet spot for them. We do 18 here. But yeah, 16 to 18, anything in between. I'm allergic to chicken eggs, but my husband and one of the 4 kids are allergic too. I'm hopefully quail eggs are our answer. Love your videos. Thank you. That's wonderful. And yeah, actually, one of our very first customers that still buy, she's our only customer that we still sell eating eggs to other than our big corporate accounts. But she's our only customer that she was like literally our first customer, and her and her husband and 4 children were allergic to chicken eggs, and so literally 12 years ago, she got some quail eggs to try, and yeah, she comes get just a couple dozen every month for her and her family. But yeah, she was our very first customer actually that was allergic to chicken eggs, and that worked for them great. So good luck on your journey. God, something's in my eye. I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to find a biz or some locals to sell eating eggs, but sadly not much luck lately. Have to give a bunch away to prevent getting overloaded. Yeah, I would hit Asian markets, nail salons, try for ballots, eating eggs, farmers markets, grocery stores. I mean, there's a lot. I've got a playlist called Quail for Profit. You can watch those videos, and that will give you a lot of ideas to go with. And we also have a Facebook group called Quail for Profit that will really be able to help you along your journey as well. Wow, whatever's in my eye is really starting to make me mad. Johan Rivera says variety mix. So yeah, I would say probably about 12 at least. Could be more. but I would say minimum of 12. Glenwell says brooder box is 24 by 36 with 40 quail, have cages ready when they go out, but do they need more room now 1 week old? Oh dear God. So they're 2 by 3, so that's 6 square feet. So 6 times 6 is 30. They do need a little bit more room. I recommend 6 chicks per square foot. So yeah, especially by next week, you're going to need to give them a little bit more room, or they're going to be overcrowded and start picking their feathers out. Sundial Fragrance is in the house. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Tiffany T says, gotta go. Glad I caught the live. Thanks for the help. We'll add more light and start on layer ASAP. There you go. And hopefully that helps. And obviously, let us know how that goes for you. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, you're up and running and productive as always. Jason Ford says, wife is allergic to duck and turkey eggs, but not chicken or quail. There you go. That seems to be a big thing here. Sundial Fragrance says, late but here. Hi, y'all. Well, welcome. We're glad you showed up. Thanks for the support. Christopher K says, adventure. Zach, absolutely. I heard a couple weeks ago that a journey is something that you must do alone. An adventure is when you have people that support you. So for 12 years, I've always said, we're here to help you on your Coturnix quail journey. So I'm changing that because we have a great community on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere. I think that we have a great community of help. I try to put out as much content as possible to help everybody on their journey. My contact information is on our website for anybody to reach out, things like that. And so it's a quail adventure because you're not alone in it. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. Robert says, I have 48 quail in the incubator in the 2nd week now. Wish me luck. Absolutely. Good luck. And I'm sure you're going to do great. But good luck. And obviously keep us posted. I wish you the best. That looks like all of the questions. So it's 8:52. I will give you guys, we'll do 3 more minutes in case there's any last second questions that we can answer for you. Remember, I'll be back Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do a live Q&A. It's more of a community setting where we all hang out. We do hatch rates. We, post where you're at, and it's always interesting to see where all the people are at in the quail world. We do a lot of fun stuff on Sundays, and then obviously Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live for a rapid fire. We go as quickly as possible. And I post an upcoming live, Sunday morning and Tuesday morning. So you can always jump on there and type in your question before we even begin, and then you would be the first question. And then if you miss it, you only have to watch the first few minutes if you're too busy. So that might help as well. And then we do have some really good videos coming out this week. Hopefully you guys will be able to watch and get some good info out of. We've got why is my fertility low and what to look for. I think it's going to be a very, very good video for a lot of people that are having production issues. And then we're also going to do a video on what to start with, colors versus jumbo size, what's the difference, and what are the benefits of both. So those 2 videos are coming out this week, and I think that will help a lot of people. Johan says, how long should I leave quail in the incubator? Had a few hatch, don't know if I should wait 2 days before opening. I recommend 24 hours. Every 24 hours after the first one hatches, you open the incubator, take the dry ones out, leave the wet ones in, and then every 24 hours you keep doing the process. Did I miss what this week's video will be? Oh, I just answered it without even reading it. There you go. Katrina says, great information in chat tonight. Thank you. Absolutely. And Katrina actually has a YouTube channel called Sow and Tear. She raises Coturnix quail as well. She does more of an aviary setting. So I forget who was asking about the coop and the production issue. Tiffany, I believe. I think. But in that situation, Katrina might be a good person to talk to. She does a live on Mondays, and her YouTube channel is called Sow and Tear, so you can check that out, and that might be able to help you a lot as well. Ellen says, thanks for these lives. Glad I found them, and I'm looking forward to this quail adventure I stumbled upon. Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone. It's not a journey, it's an adventure. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm sure you're going to do great. Amy B says CL is another good place to look. Reptile owners feed them a lot. Absolutely. Craigslist. Yep, that's a great idea as well. Christopher K says, where's QuailCon held? Right here at Myshire Farm. We get a bunch of big tents. We get a bunch of good speakers. We do a butcher class in the butcher shop. We do quail barn tour. We do a lot of fun stuff. Bouncy house for the kids. We do a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, it's held here in Miamisburg, Ohio. I think it's the first weekend of September, but it's Memorial Day weekend? Whatever holiday is the beginning of September. I can never remember. I'm so sorry. QuailCon is at Zach's Farm, West Central Ohio. There you go. Dayton, Ohio. It's Miamisburg, but we're right next to Dayton. A lot of people have heard of Dayton, Ohio. We're about 40 minutes away from Cincinnati, Ohio, north. Seeing if anybody else is talking. Glenn says, it was so windy here that I watched a hen lay the same egg twice. When I collected eggs, do I count as 1 or 2? I would count as 2. Yeah, don't count your eggs until they're in hand. There you go. Vicky says, is there a way to get my hens to regrow back feathers? We had about 10 weeks of 100 to 114 degree weather. My hens pulled all of their back feather and tail feathers out. Now it's 32 degrees at night. Unfortunately, not really until they go into a molt. Not really much more that you can do, unfortunately. It is Labor Day weekend. I knew that. Gosh darn it. Thank you, S.O. Swanson. Amy says, thanks for holding down the mod tonight, Ed. Strong work. Absolutely. Yeah, he's great. And Verna will be back. Rose says, of light, and they're laying, say, 3 to 4 eggs every 4 to 5 days. I think I might have missed something. I'm trying. Oh, Rose says, my quail have 16 to 18 hours of light, and they are laying 3 to 4 eggs every 4 to 5 days. Well, that I would say that's about normal. Yeah, that's almost an egg a day. I would say that's normal. Vermont Quail, good night. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for all the support. Stay safe, everyone. I got to leave before I get in trouble. There you go, Glenn. Thanks. Who did you say had hatching time cages? It was PJ's Family Farm on Facebook. And they are admins of Quail Lifestyle on Facebook, as well as Quail in the Kitchen. So you could reach out to her, and she can give you information about the hatching time cages. Katrina says, Aaron Gutros recommends using Feather Fixer to help quail through their molt faster. There you go. That's a good idea. Rose says, I have the light out there and feed all the time and water at all times. I think that you were having some production issues. I would watch the video this coming week. Actually, I posted a video last week about reasons my quail are not laying. And then this week, we're actually going to do a video on why my fertility is low and what to look for. I would watch those 2 videos. That will give you a lot of ideas. It could be a bunch of different things. It's really hard to narrow down. If the weather is changing a lot, typically they'll stop for about 2 weeks, so that could be it. It could be an age thing. It's really hard to be able to decipher that. But if you watch the video from last week, reasons my quail are not laying, and then this Thursday I'll be posting why my fertility is low and what to look for. I think those 2 might be able to give you some ideas on what to look at in your specific situation. And that is all the questions tonight, everybody. About an hour, but I think I did pretty well. We went pretty fast, so I'm pretty excited about that. It looks like we've got one more question, and then we will get out of here. Levi Acres Farm says, do quail lay in the winter as much as they do in the summer if they have supplemental light? Yes, they do. Yeah, ours lay year-round. same production all year, but we control the environments. You know, they're inside. We control how much light. They always have feed. They always have water. So really, the only thing that changes is the temperature, and the temperature really doesn't affect the quail as far as production goes. Very good question. All right, everybody. We actually had 61 likes tonight, so thank you very much for all of you that supported the channel by hitting that like button. We've got some good videos coming your way, so subscribe to the channel. We will be back Sunday at 7 p.m. for another live Q&A, and until then, everybody, as always... Oh, looks like we got one more. Okay, one more. Bro, can you give me quail food diet? In my area, we have heavy price for food. Can you suggest anything to reduce feed? It's really not that big of a deal to just do an all-purpose layer feed. That's really the cheapest feed that you're going to get, and that will have all the stuff that they need. So, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't go cheap on it and do an all-purpose flock. You can get that pretty inexpensive. But I do have a video about feed. If you type into the YouTube search bar feed by Myshire Farm, that video will show up. It actually shows what we feed, the ingredients, it shows the percentages and all that jazz, and much smarter people than I came up with that formula. So we gave that to you for free in a YouTube video, so you can check that out. All right, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, until next time, stay safe.